Prosecutors in South Carolina are close to resting their case against Alex Murdaugh. Over the past few weeks, they've been laying out evidence to prove the disbarred attorney did kill his wife and son in June of 2021. Prosecutors also saying Murdaugh hired a hitman to kill him in an attempt to get a multi-million-dollar life insurance settlement for his only surviving son. Murdaugh was shot in the head, but the bullet barely grazed him. And not long after that, he called police and admitted that he orchestrated the whole scheme. The jury heard parts of that call on Thursday.
I told him that things were getting ready to get really bad and that I would be better off not here. And I asked him to shoot me.
And you asked him to shoot you?
That's correct.
And what was his response?
I mean, I think at first he was a little surprised.
Let's bring in jury consultant and behavioral analyst and analysis expert, Susan Constantine. Susan, first I have to ask you about that call. The fact that he admitted to this scheme, does that bring more sympathy for him to the jurors, or does that make him look more guilty?
Well, it may bring more sympathy because he's admitting to where he lied, so he's kind of fessing up. The problem is that what they don't realize is that for a person to lie, it creates a lot of cognitive load. So people that are guilty naturally give away incriminating information to ease their stress within. So that's what liars tend to do.
They give more incriminating information?
They do. So in other words, when you read through a police statement, you will find that they will actually give you certain timelines to, let's say, they went to the grocery store, but that actually timeline was linked to the actual murder. So what happens subconsciously, they embed the incriminating information to ease their own guilt that they're feeling inside. So that's what's really interesting, is that everyone gives away the lie. They just don't know where it is unless there's someone like me to point it out.
Okay, so in looking at the video evidence, we've seen a number of things that were captured from the police interrogations the night of the murders. Was there any behavior or mannerisms that gave him away that may have jumped out to the jury?
Okay, so the most important thing is to look at his baseline behavior. We listened to the 911 call. We saw him when he was being investigated, or he was in a police car, and then also outside the scene of where it all occurred. Now start to do the comparisons. The best is the very first call. So when you get the call, listen to the expression. There's pauses that happen. You hear the cracking in the voice. In the police interview, you would expect him to collapse. When people are in such extreme sadness or disbelief, they crumble. And you'll see that he can kind of go in and out of these moods and recover very quickly. The recovery was a big one for me. The crying, no tears, the rocking, which is a self-soothing gesture when you're feeling stressed. It's not a stressed feeling you should be feeling at that time. He should be feeling depleted. He should be feeling grief, despair, loss. And that is where the body shrinks, not is able to communicate so effectively.
Okay, so to you, I kind of feel like I'm getting what I'm picking up what you're putting down, Susan. Are you saying that he is demonstrating a behavior that would say he's guilty?
Correct.
Okay. You know, we've seen a lot of evidence of the financial crimes, fraud. There's the drugs that he's admitted to using. Does all of that play into his guilt as well in a juror's mind?
In a juror's mind, it's going to be depending on how the state and the defense in their closing arguments. It's going to be really important for the state to create motive, to walk them through chronologically what led him to this. The other thing is that they're giving him way too much information, and there's already information overload, cognitive overload. They've already just thrown it away. They can't take any notes, so they're going to go on each other's recall in deliberation. That's a scary thing. 61% of all jurors are visual learners. So the more video they can show his demeanor, show all of the evidence that they've collected to create a timeline. And also, Give something very powerful at the beginning and powerful at the end, because people remember the beginning and the end for the state's case.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.